Okay, it being a little past 6:10, actually, we'll go ahead and call the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors to order for May 18th, 2021. The clerk has confirmed the roll. We do have a quorum this evening. So we'll move on to the first item on the agenda, which is followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Supervisor Locke. If you could please all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
liberty,
and justice for all.
Now the invocation by Supervisor Locke. The invocation by Supervisor Powers. Supervisor Powers.
Creator of all things and all people, guide our hearts and minds toward right decisions for the people of Winnebago County. O Judge of the nations, we remember before you with grateful hearts the men and women of our country who on the day of decision ventured much for the liberties we now enjoy. Grant that we may not rest until all people of this land share the benefits of true freedom and gladly accept its disciplines. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Supervisor Powers. Okay, next item on the agenda is a motion to adopt this evening's agenda. I'll call on Supervisor Albrecht. There's a motion and a second to adopt this evening's agenda. Any discussion? We'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed say nay. That motion carries with one nay vote. Okay, before we go to public comments, just so everyone is on the same page of how we'll operate tonight. So as you can tell, this is our attempt to do a Zoom meeting as well as an in-person. Of course, we knew there'd be some challenges with that. And our goal is that we would not be in this sort of format for too long, or specifically necessarily in this venue if we did this format. And I'll explain a little bit more about that a little bit later this evening. But the folks on the Zoom call can hear me. We also have a laptop computer there with a mic so that they can hear individuals in the room as best as possible. I would tell you, though, that for those of you County Board Supervisors, when we get further on in the agenda and you would like to speak, I will, of course, call on you. But what we're going to ask you to do for this evening is to step and come up to the mic in the front here. Those are live, and they will be able to hear you. So if you use that mic, the individuals in the room will be able to hear you. And hopefully we've tested it. It looks like they'll be able to hear you on Zoom. Now, there may, of course, be some challenges, but we're going to work within that as best as we can today. Like I said, I'll explain the process of how we look to do this in future meetings to avoid this. But this is kind of our transition meeting, and we'll work within that format. So certainly appreciate everyone's understanding and patience as we work through that. So moving to the next item on the agenda, that's the public comments period, a time with each agenda when we give an opportunity from anyone from the public to speak on anything on tonight's agenda or anything under county jurisdiction. I'll first ask on Zoom, is there anyone who wishes to speak from the public this evening? If so, go ahead and raise your Zoom hand and I will call on you in succession. Is there anyone on Zoom from the public who wishes to speak?
I'd like to speak, please.
Please go ahead.
Thank you.
State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mi Yang. I live at 2825 Prairie Wood Drive, town of Algoma. Tonight, I'm here to speak on behalf of the Hmong Service Center in support of resolution number 170-052021, designate May as Asian American and Pacific Heritage Month. I am a Hmong descendant and resident of Winnebago County for over 34 years and currently serve as the board president for the Hmong Service Center in Oshkosh. Over the last three decades since I have resided here, the Asian population have grown rather quickly, making the Hmong community one of the largest Asian communities in this county. Each year, we hold events in December to celebrate, promote, and educate the Hmong heritage and culture. With the large Asian American community in this area, it is important for our leaders, such as you, to recognize and create a welcoming community environment to celebrate and embrace this beautiful and rich multicultural heritage, not just for the benefit of Asian American communities, but all communities. Most importantly, this recognition will help educate all children of current and future generations to grow in a healthy, understanding, and appreciative environment. With this, I call on the Winnebago County Board to pass this resolution and designate May as Asian American and Pacific Heritage Month. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, and thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else from the public on Zoom who wishes to speak this evening? Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on Zoom this evening? If so, go ahead and raise your Zoom hand, or if you can't do that, go ahead and open up your mic and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll move to in person. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak this evening? Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak this evening? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close that portion of the evening. We'll move on to the next item, and that's correspondence. For that, I'll call on Clerk Ertler.
Some notices of claim. The first one comes from Charlene Rimmer for damage to her vehicle caused by a piece of rebar in one of the parking lot of Human Services through Further Personal and Finance. We have another notice of claim from Peter Long against the Winnebago County Jail for unlawful, vindictive, expeditious, retaliatory transfer to Dodge Correctional Institution, also referred to Personal and Finance. We also have resolutions from other counties that are listed on your agenda. The first one comes from Eau Claire County, and it's in regarding to enhance securities to members of the Wisconsin's marginalized communities with the legislative committee. A resolution from Green Lake County in opposition to changes in wildlife damage abatement referred to legislative committee. Another resolution or resolutions from Washington County. One is supporting legislation to provide an increase in criminal and ordinance violation surcharge. And another from Washington County it's an advisory resolution supporting legislation to remove the requirement for duplicate copies of the transcript for application of the search warrant, also referred to the legislative committee. We have a petition for zoning amendment from Dennis Barracks in the town of Warren County, requesting a zoning change from A2 R8 to R8 for manufactured single home, referred to planning and zoning. And another petition for zoning amendment from Dennis R. Lang in the town of Warren County, requesting a zoning change from A2 to R1 for dwelling zone.
Thank you, Clerk Ertler. We'll move on to the next item, and that's reports from committees, commissions, and boards. Any reports from any committees, commissions, or board? I'll call on Supervisor Snyder. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'd just like to mention some things in for the petitions for zoning. The one for Dennis Firks is on the town's agenda for Thursday night, May 20th. And the one for Denny Lang was acted on by the town, which recommended approval on April 15th. So,
thank you, Supervisor Snyder. Next, I'll call on Supervisor Eisen. Please go ahead, Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank county executives and his chief of staff for attending the May 7th Safe Streets Initiative meeting here at the courthouse. The Safe Streets Initiative upgraded the Winnebago County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council 6, community safety, balancing punishment and rehabilitation by providing alternatives to incarceration, focusing on treatment and programs to instill accountability in citizens involved in drug and alcohol-related offenses. Using local government and community-based programs to have a more productive citizen upon completion of these programs and find lowering reserve.
Thank you, Supervisor Eisen. Is there any other county board supervisor with any reports from committees, commissions, and boards? Please, Supervisor Norton. If you could use the mic on the right there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to remember, first thing, the Winnebago County Diversity Affairs Commission will be hosting the very first event. There will be a viewing interview with the author and community-wide chapter on both Waking Up Light by Debbie Irving will be this Thursday, May 20th from 3 to 4:30. From 3 to 3:50 will be a viewing of the video, and then from 3:50 to 4:30 will be a guided conversation. If anyone is interested, contact or email Amanda Domerville from the Good Extension, and to sign up, then we'll be able to Zoom event. Secondly, from the health board, I think we're all in this phase of vaccination. I think when I announced, I think we have now known about that the health department is having a walk-in Wednesdays for vaccinations at the Sunnyview Medical Center off from the nation. So I'm sure everyone gets our percentage up. I think the last time I saw last night, I think we're like 38% of people getting both shots. Also, I believe what I heard from some of the resources that at the end of this month or beginning of next month, you start to have a whole vaccination sites. I do know we're having one, I believe, I think the National Baby Blood School. I'm not sure when, but there's been that. And then there's another one in Oshkosh, I believe this Thursday night. We try to get the under 15 or older and meet their parents. So I encourage people, if you have not been vaccinated, to get vaccinated. Thirdly, me and Robert Keller serve on the housing authority, and we will have a new executive director of the housing authority starting next Tuesday. Me and Robert and my next person comes from Franklin, but we'll come to the meeting that's going to still be added. And the last thing I'd like to announce or say, I learned at our first committee that that this county is in dire need of seasonal help from both the Parks Department and the Fire Department. And if you know the need, there's young individuals, college people who need a nice either summer job, 40-hour job, or have to work weekends, I guess. I encourage them to apply either with the Parks Department or the
Thank you, Supervisor Norton. Is there any other county board supervisor who has any reports from committees, commissions, and boards? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close that portion of the agenda. We'll move on to the next item, which is the approval of the April 20th, 2021 board proceeding. Is there a motion? There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes from April 20th, 2021. Any changes, any discussion from anyone? I'll call Supervisor Fari. Any question about the minutes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just an observation. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. On the first paragraph, it says excused. Is that Belanti and Locke? Do you see that?
Yes.
Then you go down to the county board chairman's report. For that evening, you excused Belanti and Schneider.
Yes, we'll make sure we add Schneider.
And
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I joined late.
Schneider was there.
Yeah, yep, he joined late. He joined late. Thank you for that clarification. Any other adjustments or changes to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Moving on down to the next item, and that's County Executive's Report. I'll call on Executive Damo, and if you could please step up to the mic right here next to the laptop. So, right in front of the chair, yes. Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, now I don't have much today. There is one item on the agenda I did want to a little bit. The Boathouse for the sheriff's department.
Can't understand that. Can't hear or understand that.
Can you hear this now?
It's all mumbled. The other two were mumbled too, but this is, you know.
Things are garbled.
I'll slow down and enunciate the best I can. The Boathouse is on the agenda tonight. I want to clarify, went to P&F without my signature. I wasn't sure at the time about spending so much money on our boathouse over land that we don't own. That being said, with the
Now the mic totally cut out. It's totally muted.
it's not going to cost millions of dollars. And it's crucial that we have a boat in the water, if someone were to capsize in rough waters, that we every minute.
I cannot understand that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Sorry, Supervisor Winnebago. Anyway, this now has my approval, and I have signed it, today. So I just wanted to mention that. The other part is, I have been told, to slow down a little bit, and I've heard that loud and clear. And I appreciate all the board members that have reached out, to help me in this transition. I do hear you, and I want to hear more of you. So to all the board members, I would love to schedule one-on-one times to get together and understand what you're passionate about, so that we can really come together as a team to serve the citizens of Winnebago County the best we absolutely can. I am not looking to fix or change anything. I'm just trying to help people the best that we possibly can. I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. And I have had the privilege of getting to know a lot of our department heads, and what they do and the people that work under them. So I do understand that I have a lot to learn, but my nose is deep in the book, and I am getting my education fairly quickly. And I appreciate everyone's patience with me on that and understanding. And I really appreciate the challenge, and the debate of ideas. P&F was a very spirited meeting for me, and I really appreciated that. And I look forward to that to come together. I see a lot of passionate people here willing to help Winnebago County, and I am excited for what the future holds. That's all I have.
Thank you, Executive Damo. Thank you for the comments, and I certainly appreciate all the outreach you provided as well. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is County Board Chairman's report. So first, before the announcement of the scholarship winners, I want to give a few other announcements. So first of all, our next meeting will be in June 15th. And just related to that, we recognize that we have some technical difficulties, of course, doing this in this venue. We are looking at doing this sort of format, but at the Expo Center, where the audio-visual system is more amenable to this sort of format, similar to what we did last July. So it is bigger, and also the AV system allows for a more streamlined Zoom/in-person meeting. So I just wanted to let you know that we are looking at and planning tentatively to do that for the June meeting and looking at that for July. It simply was a logistical challenge because of the vaccine clinics that continue to go on to be able to do that this night. So this very much is our transitional meeting. And then, of course, our intent is to get back to full in-person hopefully soon after that, frankly, but we just have to see how things go. But I just kind of want to let everyone know what our plan is. Our goal is that today's format in this room would be our only one like it. Because once again, we recognize those challenges. Nonetheless, there are some people that did a lot of work to make this still possible. So I want to thank the county clerk's office for all their work, IT, Oshkosh Media as well, and facilities for all their efforts with this. As you can see, this is a challenging format, but we'll just do the best we can with it. And they did certainly everything they possibly could to make this work as best as possible. So thank you certainly to all those, and truly thank you, county clerk's office, for that. And then I also want to announce this year's scholarship winners, the County Board Scholarship winners. But I'd like to give you a little bit of background for those who are not familiar with it, or a refresher for those of you who are. So first of all, it's more of an announcement today because of the COVID situation. And we did let the recipients know of that in advance. But as a refresher, our County Board Scholarship Program, or our County Scholarship Program, goes back actually 22 years to 1999. And one of our supervisors, well, there was a lot of people involved, Supervisor Finch, really was much of a spark behind this program. As you all know, he's still with us on this county board, still here today. So the County Board Scholarship Program was designed for twofold reasons. One, to promote good citizenship, but two, also to promote a better understanding of county government, what it actually does. And then, of course, the stated aim to provide scholarship and funding, of course, for students within our communities. Now, applicants have to do a number of things. So, of course, their school record is considered, their GPA, their courses, their extracurriculars, but they also actually have to write an essay. And that essay topic is this: if you were to run for a county office, which one would it be and why? And we had 23 applicants this year for the 9 scholarships. I'll tell you this, the winner in terms of which county office most students wrote about was actually coroner. Coroner/medical examiner. 5 of the 23 applicants actually wrote their essay in regards to the coroner and medical examiner. For county board, if I recall correctly, it was 3. I believe for the county executive, I believe it was 3 as well, if I remember correctly. But the coroner had the most intention in terms of an essay this year. So students from schools, high schools across our county are eligible to apply for it. Every year we award 9 of them, and they're $1,000 each. So I'd like to announce this year's winners. They are Samantha Schumacher, Berlin High School; Chloe Hypus, Menasha High School; Katie Peters, Amarillo High School; Ethan Kutz, Anna Kozolopov, and John Otto Shearer, Oshkosh North High School; Alexis Schaefer, Oshkosh West High School; Lauren Meyer, St. Mary Catholic High School; and Madeline Graton from Winneconne High School. A big round of applause to all our scholarship recipients this year. Now, they were notified that they were recipients of this scholarship. As you know, it's not in person. Nonetheless, if there was any of the recipients on the call tonight, please open up your mic, state your name, what school you're from, where you plan to go to school, and your major. There may not be any, but I wanted to certainly give an opportunity in case there were. Are there any of our scholarship recipients on the call this evening? Nope, I don't believe there are. And once again, they were notified in advance. So by no means is that any reflection of their appreciation. We let them know by mail, but I nonetheless wanted to give an opportunity just in case there was anyone.
Mr. Chairman?
Please go ahead, Supervisor Finch.
Is there the possibility, because we're getting done with this turmoil, that maybe next month, that we could invite these 9 students like we used to come to our county board meeting. They can see what the county board is and what we are, and then we can present them more face to face like we always have. Is there a possibility of that?
There's a potential for that. I and others had actually thought about that. The only reason we held off, because we wanted to let folks know who the winners were, is because if we waited to June with the announcement, then we knew that some of them would be out of school and have other activity. But I recognize what you're saying, Supervisor Finch. So we'll consider it actually and see if we can work something out. Because I too, of course, would like to have as many as possible in person. So
thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Finch. Supervisor Powers, please go ahead.
Well, I'm not making a motion. I'm just kind of throwing this out. If we've been doing this for 22 years, might we think about increasing the amount of money that we're giving? Because the cost of education has gone up exponentially in 22 years. And I don't know if this is a question for Jerry Finch or if there's another, I mean, I don't know where this goes, but I would like for us at least to consider looking at increasing the money going to these students every year.
Thank you, Supervisor Powers. I believe that's come up at county budget time a few times, I think, and you would have the opportunity, if you wanted to pursue that, to put a resolution in during county budget time to do just that, to try to expand it. So thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Powers. Okay, very good. So once again, congratulations to all our 2021 scholarship recipients. And with that, that concludes my report. So we'll move on down. We have one presentation this evening. It's from the Aging and Disabilities Resource Center. We have Beth Roberts, the ADRC Director, and Paul Janty, the Chairman of the ADRC Committee, to present to us this evening. If you could please step forward, and what we're going to attempt to have you do is to speak into the mic right here in front of us. And it's okay if you need to turn the mic this way so you can face the county board. We'll ask for them. If those on the call while they're presenting could please mute themselves for the moment, it will help with some of the audio. Very good. You have the floor.
Thank you very much for letting us be here tonight to explain a little bit about the Aging Disability Resource Center. I'm going to refer to the as the ADRC, but won't use any other name. The ADRC gives unbiased information to people, maximize the resources that they have available to them. And when I say unbiased, there are agencies that can help with Medicare and things like that. They're usually from a healthcare company, and we can give completely unbiased information. If you're wondering what the difference is between ADRC and 211, 211 gives phone numbers, but we are able to actually help.
Excuse me, I apologize. I cannot understand that. Is it just me?
No, I can't either. We can't understand anything she's saying at all. It's
We
all
can't see
mumbled.
him. We can't see him, obviously, so we don't know if they got.
Ditto. It's garbled.
Go ahead and try to
can't
test the
understand.
mic to see if we can get it so that you can hear them. If you bear with us for a minute, then.
I think
Shiloh,
the
could she
issue
use
is the mic.
your mic, Shiloh?
Absolutely. And if this doesn't work, that's what we'll have her do.
Okay, can you hear me okay now?
Can you hear okay on the Zoom call?
Yes.
Well, okay, but now we can hear, but now it's reverberating on somebody else's mic.
Okay, let me try one thing. Now go ahead and test it.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
I think they can hear you now.
Okay, so we have an hour and a half for this presentation, right? Okay,
Appreciate the light humor.
people are laughing, so they must be able to hear. Is this muted? But is it muted so they can't? Let me know.
Why don't you go ahead and you can step up here and speak from here.
That's good, whatever, that's fine.
It's going through Zoom, so I'm.
Okay, so we're gonna try one more time. Can you hear her? Okay, can you go ahead and speak in the mic?
Okay, raise your hand if it sounds okay.
Okay, they're raising their hand.
Excellent.
Okay, please go ahead.
I'm the Aging and Disability Resource Director, and I'm going to refer to it as the ADRC instead of the Aging and Disability Resource Center. We provide information and resources to people who have developmental and physical disabilities or aging population defined as over age 60. We offer unbiased information and access to all resources available. The difference between us and 211 is that 211 can give phone numbers and such, but we can help people sort through the different options as well as help people to apply for programs and access them. We're also the gateway to the long-term care system if you are entering into family care. Tonight, we wanted to talk about not our regular activities, but some of the special things that the community has asked of us that we've been able to engage in. One of them is that we have a dementia care specialist who has been able to offer a number of programs for those who have dementia and their caregivers. We've had a dementia care summit, we've had training, we've had caregiver support. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we're about to engage in, but our dementia care specialist has really opened up opportunities that don't exist elsewhere in the state. Including, like I said, training and respite opportunities.
The second one we want to talk about is a program called Project Lifesaver. It comes to us via a concern of one of our committee members who felt that the county should have access to what the city of Oshkosh has of allowing an individual who loves to wander or to take off when their caregiver needs to keep track of them. So we're now working with the sheriff's department and having that program available countywide. It's purely a voluntary program. It's one of the things I should stress. It's purely voluntary. And it certainly saves law enforcement as well as the caregiver peace of mind in terms of ease of access to getting their loved one back.
Demo mentioned the importance of timeliness when responding to people on the water, and when someone wanders in inclement weather, timing is critical, and this program has been very, very vital in saving some people who wandered. We were asked to do a wheelchair wash, which started out very small scale and ended up being a pretty big affair, where we are able to let people sit in a different wheelchair while we completely scour their wheelchair, and they get a free like checkup on it, basically, where someone takes a look at it and tightens things up and lets them know if there's any problems with it. It's turned into an event where we've got free lunch for everyone. Thank you to one of our board members here. Music. We've had one vet who had never had his chair washed ever, and one of our government officials was on his knees scrubbing the foot plates. It was pretty cool. We got one of our committee members from having attended a wheelchair wash, and it was through the wheelchair wash that we learned from some people with physical disabilities about the need for a flashing light at Washburn and 9th Street, and that's now been successfully installed in collaboration with the ADRC and the city of Oshkosh. So it's been a really good connection for people with physical disabilities and our ADRC.
Well, the other partnerships we have is with the public health people, and obviously with all the COVID stuff that we've been dealing with. They come to our meetings every month, and because we as a group, have a lot of interest in that particular area. We gave them a fair amount of assistance relative to when they had their vaccination clinics and continue to do so. They also provide to a fair number of folks various classes which we support. So some of those classes might be fitness, might be fall prevention, and that sort of activity.
During COVID, we were able to collaborate with Advocap to switch the meal sites to home delivered meals. So people who had been going to a meal site were able to get and are still able to get their meals delivered at home. And it was pretty cool because it was the volunteer drivers whose need for getting people from one place to another because of restricting transportation that said, hey, we could deliver meals. So these volunteer drivers started delivering the meals that would have been served at a meal site. And I'm telling you, it's almost 4 times the people who we had delivered meals to that are able to get a nutritious meal and have someone check in on them. So it's been really a great program. We related to that and social isolation. We partnered with the City of Oshkosh Senior Center to develop the Connect with Tech program. And you might have read about this in the Oshkosh Herald. They applied for a grant and we worked with them to be a referral source and share in the funding of devices that are needed. But that's been amazing to give seniors an opportunity to connect with their loved ones through technology. And iPads are one thing, but there's some pretty simple programs out there where it's literally just pushing a button and you can see and speak with your grandchildren or son, daughter, whoever. And some of these people hadn't connected with their families in many, many months. So it's been a very heartwarming program. But it's also, I mean, a newer vehicle is hard for someone like me to figure out. And so it's any technology. So even if you have purchased a new vehicle and want to just work with one of their volunteers on figuring it out, they're able to assist with that. The other thing that we recently did is we are the 7th community in the state to be designated by the AARP to be age friendly. And that's been an exciting endeavor. We're still working on surveys to see how we can enhance the community further, but to be designated as age friendly and recognized for that and be given the opportunity to really improve even more the intergenerational opportunities and how we serve our citizens has been a really nice opportunity.
So one of the things that has been a particular interest of mine has been falls prevention. Winnebago County, sad to say, has one of the highest rates of falls in the United States. So the Oshkosh Fire Department, along with ADRC, is developing a program to help with individuals in situations where people frequently fall.
They used to leave one of our brochures at the person who fell home, but we weren't getting a lot of calls. So now they have a tough pad, which is like an iPad with them. And if the person consents, they do an automatic referral to us on that pad and it comes to us electronically so we can reach out to them. So it's been really a neat program. We recognize that being a government agency, that the government isn't the end all be all in serving people. So we've also done a lot of grassroots things like the wheelchair wash, but we've had a couple of churches come forth and volunteer their space so that if you have caring for a loved one with memory loss, you can drop them off there to give yourself a break. And it's neat because you don't have to fill out a bunch of paperwork and financial stuff and pay for anything. You can just drop them off. And the first one was May 1st, 2019, and they were going to make May Day baskets as part of the activities for the individuals with memory loss, and it was all dropped off. So they switched from May baskets to birdhouses, and it worked out wonderfully. And we thought it would give their spouses in that scenario an opportunity to go grocery shopping, take a bath, whatever they chose to do during that break. And as it turns out, they all went up the road to a coffee place and formed a support group for each other. So we've now got a couple of support groups in Oshkosh, and those are up and running again as of last month. We are expanding our falls prevention program to the rest of the county. Just like Paul said with the Project Lifesaver, it started out in Oshkosh because they're the ones that had purchased the program, but now we have the other municipalities joining in those programs. Moving forward, hopefully you're all receiving our newsletter. That's a relatively new thing, and it's something that we really enjoy putting together at no cost and sending it out. So there's well over 250 people receiving it now and are excited about that opportunity. We are in the process of doing a housing assessment to assist with figuring out what the housing needs might be as our demographics change. We're hoping to supply information to the people who are involved with housing about what those needs are. We have got a lot of really neat things expanding again with dementia care services, and we're dropping things off so that they can work on even meals, brain healthy meals and things like that. We're looking at the intergenerational aspect of a play developed in Minneapolis called Grandpa and Lucy, where young children can learn about dementia and not be afraid of it. And that's going to be coming to our school systems, initially electronically and then live. We have riding enrollment. We are one of 2 places in the state who are part of a research project on having horseback riding opportunities for people with dementia, which has been pretty cool out in Colorado. So we're going to be starting it here in Neenah this summer. We are expanding our respite sites. We have more congregations who are willing to volunteer and churches that are willing to give us their space. Otherwise, we're going to continue to update our resources and our website. I did leave some brochures and supplies up at by the door. Please feel free to take one and go to our website where you can find out about all the different events that are happening, the resources that we are able to offer people. And yeah, we've got lots of more things going on, but I won't go on all night. Just gives you a flavor of what the ADRC does. If you or anyone you know needs to access us, please give us a call and we'll do what we can to help. I also wanted to mention that Mike talked about Waking Up White this Thursday, and it's supposed to be on the county website under diversity, equity, inclusion. It doesn't look like it made it there yet, but I'll make sure it gets out there tomorrow if you'd prefer to just click on a link to register. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. We'll open it up. Any questions? If any supervisor has any questions in regards to the ADRC drop? Okay, seeing none. Thank you both very much for being. Oh, Supervisor Baker, I apologize. We got one question. Supervisor Baker, please go ahead.
I had my hand up when she started speaking. I couldn't hear a quarter of what she said. I guess I'd ask that she'd come back next month and give the presentation. I'm sure it was a great presentation, but I could not hear it. If this is a dead spot in the room, I don't know if the rest of my colleagues could make it out, but I could not make out any of the basically presentation.
Thank you, Supervisor Bender. Seeing no other questions, thank you both for taking the time
Can't bring it.
this evening. Very much.
Got release things next time. I'm gonna talk. I would say that. I'm glad you reminded me. I did have mine in here.
Okay, moving on down to the next item on the agenda. That's zoning reports and ordinance. There are 3 of them this evening. The first one is report number 001. Jan Mack, Windridge Farm Incorporated, Town of Auburn. With that, I'll call up Vice Chairman Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of report number 1.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve report number 1. Any discussion? If so, go ahead and raise your Zoom hand. If there's anyone in the room, you can go ahead and step up to the mic if at any time you have any discussion. Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Moving on to amendatory ordinance number 050121. Rezoning from R1 A2 rural residential general agriculture A2 general agriculture for tax parcel number 016-0798. I once again call on Vice Chairman Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of mandatory ordinance number 050121.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the mandatory ordinance number 050121. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Moving on down to the next item, report number 002, Town of Neenah. For that, I'll call on Supervisor Nussbaum.
I move for report number 2.
There's a motion and a second to approve report number 002, Town of Neenah. We'll open up for any discussion. Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Moving on down to the next item. Amendment to ordinance number 050221. Rezoning from I1, A2 light industrial general agriculture to A2 general agriculture for tax parcel number 010-0211-01-04 and also 010-0218-05, finally 010-0218. Once again, call on Supervisor Nussbaum.
I move for amendatory ordinance 050221.
There's a motion and a second to approve amendatory ordinance number 050221. Any discussion? None, we'll once again do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Lord,
Any opposed, say
she
nay.
got your earplugs. It works good on these things. You got your ears.
That motion
And you can
carries.
listen. You won't get
Moving
feedback.
on down to the final report. It's report number 003, Frank J. Poole, Olivia Bueller, Cynthia M. Clifford, Bradley E. Ertner, Town of Amherst. Call on Supervisor Ellis.
Comment, yours.
I move for the approval of report number 3.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second for report number 003. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll once again do a voice vote.
Literally everyone is unmuted.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carried. Amendment ordinance number 050321. Rezoning from A2 general agriculture to R1 residential. The tax parcels number 016-025-01 and 016-025-E. I'll call on Supervisor Ellis.
I move for amendatory ordinance number 050321.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve amendatory ordinance number 050321. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll once again do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving to the next items, that's resolutions and ordinances on the second page. So the first one is resolution number 165-05-2021. Approve a transfer of $322,350 from the undesignated general fund balance to the sheriff's office capital outlay account to replace the boathouse and the Fox River at the end of Broad Street in Oshkosh. For that, I'll call on Supervisor Keller.
Thank you, Chairman. I move for approval of resolution 165-0521.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve resolution number 165-05-2021. We'll open it up for any discussion from any supervisor. If so, on the call, go ahead and raise your Zoom hand. If anyone in person, you can go ahead and step forward to the mic. Seeing none, we'll once again do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on down to the second resolution. It's resolution number 2021. Amend the table of organization for the Winnebago County Finance Department to add a budget manager, an accountant position, and to eliminate an accounting supervisor position, and approve a transfer of $52,101 from the contingency reserve accounts to the Finance Department labor and other operating expense accounts to cover the table of organization changes. For that, I'll call on Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for resolution number 16605-2021.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve resolution number 166-05-2021. Any discussion from any county supervisor? If so, on the call, go ahead and raise your Zoom hand. If in person, just go ahead and come forward and step up to the mic. Seeing none, we'll once again do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Moving on down to the third resolution. It's resolution number 167-05-2021. Table of organization for the solid waste department. Replace an administrative associate position with an office supervisor position, and replace a recycling program manager position with a communication/program development specialist position. I once again call on Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I'll move for resolution number 16705-2021.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve resolution number 167-05-2021. And just for any clarification on this resolution, on your agenda, it says 2/3 of a majority to pass it. It actually is a simple majority as there is no fiscal impact. So just to make everyone aware of that. But we'll open it up. Any questions or discussion from any county supervisor? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion carried. Moving on down to the fourth resolution. It's resolution number 168-05-2021. Amend the table of organization for Parkview Health Center to reduce one full-time equivalent certified nursing aide position and add one full-time hospitality position. I'll once again call Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution number 16805-2021.
There's a motion and a second to approve resolution 168-05-2021. We'll open it up for any discussion. Any county supervisor on the call can raise their Zoom hand. Anyone in person can step forward to the mic. Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Moving on down to the fifth resolution. It's resolution number 169-05-2021. Approve values on in-rem tax deeded property. I'll once again call it Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution number 16905-2021.
There's a motion and a second to approve resolution number 169-05-2021. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Moving on down to the sixth resolution. That's resolution number 170-05-2021. Designate May as Asian American and Pacific Heritage Month. For that, I'll call on Supervisor Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for resolution 170-05-2021.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve resolution number 170-05-2021. I'll open it up for any discussion.
This is Supervisor Powers. I have a question.
Please go ahead, Supervisor Powers.
Isn't this normally known as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage rather than just Pacific Heritage? Because the initials usually are AAPI.
You are correct, and it is in the first whereas on line 7. So I think maybe adding a friendly amendment to add Islanders after Pacific. It is on line 7 referencing it as well. So thank you for that clarification, Supervisor Powers.
Thank you.
I see a couple other call-ins. I'll call first on Supervisor Snyder, followed by Supervisor Winkred. Please go ahead, Supervisor Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one point of clarification on the agenda. My district is 35, I believe, not 34. Just a
Thank
typo.
you for that clarification. And now we'll open it up to Supervisor Wingren. Please go ahead, Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just some clarification here. Is this, am I correct? Does it not go through a committee?
That is correct.
Yeah, can you please enlighten us all? How many people are we talking about in Winnebago County specifically who are considered Pacific Heritage citizens? I have no idea if it's a large population or not.
Supervisor Moak, do you have that?
No, I don't have that number, but I don't know what the relevance of that number is. I mean, we have a significant Hmong population. In fact, I would dare to say that the Hmong population is probably the biggest minority in Oshkosh.
It doesn't say that. It says Pacific Heritage Month, Asian American Month. I want to know why. Yes.
Supervisor Eisen has some information in regards to that, so please go ahead, Supervisor Eisen.
2010 census, there were 5,500 Asian and Pacific heritage residents in Winnebago County.
How many?
Islanders was around 200.
Thank you, and I will repeat it.
And last year, the state of Wisconsin passed a similar resolution.
Thank you, Supervisor Eisen. So I will repeat, Supervisor Wickman. Supervisor Eisen had some very useful information to answer your question. So he was referring to the 2010 census. And in the 2010 census for Winnebago County, there were 5,500 individuals in Winnebago County who are Asian or Pacific Islander. And his understanding, if you broke that down, 200 of that 5,500 was Pacific Islander. So he provided that information. Thank you, Supervisor Eisen. And thanks for the question, Supervisor Wingren. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay or nay. Okay, I heard at least one nay vote. But that motion does carry as it requires a simple majority for passage. So moving on down, we have two more resolutions this evening. The next resolution is resolution number 171-05-2021. Authorized execution of airport ground lease between Winnebago County and Bed Jacobs. For that, I'll call on Supervisor Gabbard.
I move for resolution 171-05-2021.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve resolution number 171-05-2021. Before we go further, I know the Corporation Council has some information that needs to provide in regards to this. So Corporation Council, if you could please step to the mic and provide some additional information.
After the agenda had gone out, there were further negotiations regarding the lease that you had attached. And for the sake of transparency, I wanted to bring it before the board. And it was only one item, and it basically was addressing umbrella liability coverage. The circumstances in this case involve an individual lessee who is going to serve as his own general contractor. And based on the conversations with the carrier, the requested initial limits, which were 5 million per occurrence and 5 million aggregate, were cost prohibitive for him. So after discussions with the airport director and looking into it, the limits went down to 1 million per occurrence and 2 million aggregate. Again, because of the fact we are not dealing with a large contractor, but essentially an individual lessee who is serving as his own contractor. So if you go to
page 16, is the reference.
Yeah, you will see that you should replace the 5 million for 1 million per occurrence and 2 million aggregate.
Thank you, Corporation Council. With that clarification, we'll open it up for any discussion. Please. Supervisor Shorsey?
Just so I can hear everybody else. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is perhaps Supervisor Gabbard can answer, or if Jim is on the call. I had a couple questions in terms of how this relates to our overall policy regarding hangars. So our building standards for hangars. And then if we have developed a policy or fee schedule for how we're going to handle these leases. And then in terms of a fee schedule, do we have a fee schedule? So we're comparing costs per square foot, et cetera, to comparable other airports and similar properties and buildings. So that was just, it was more of a process question than.
I probably can answer.
Oh, good, good, great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jacobs currently has a land lease with us, and he is choosing to build a hangar. And it's in an area where there are other hangars. He has gone through many expenses with the city of Oshkosh for stormwater to the tune of $5,000 to even get this thing off the ground. And his lease will be comparable to other buildings that are out there. Dr. Green is out there. I don't know if you know who he is, but he has a comparable size hangar to what Ben wants to build. And usually the leasee builds their own hangar if they have a commercial hangar. And so his lease will be based on everything comparable to the other tenants that have the same square footage of land. I feel that the $1 million liability is more than fair for what he's going to put up there. So I was glad that that change came through. I hope that answered all the questions.
It does, and I expected that the answers were there, and I just wanted to clarify it for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Shorsey, and thank you, Supervisor Gabbard, for the clarification. I see one other call, and I'll call on Supervisor Fari. Please go ahead, Supervisor Fari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as a point of clarification, the change that was submitted by the Corporation Council as chairman, are you suggesting we amend the document as a friendly amendment based on your recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Just
you.
for the record, it was
Thank you
introduced
for
by
the
yourself.
clarification. I appreciate it. Next, I'll call on Supervisor Cox, followed by Supervisor Nussbaum. Supervisor Cox?
Shiloh, could somebody read the annual, is that an annual dollar amount, or is that a monthly dollar amount annually on line 12?
I'll call on Supervisor Gabbard to answer your question.
I don't have that in front of me.
Good. Director Shell, are you available to answer the question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Just wanted to clarify one point that the land lease rate for aeronautical use property is outlined and spelled out in our county ordinance for the airport. That rate currently is 16 cents per square foot annually. So if you calculate the amount of square footage that Mr. Jacobs will be leasing to construct his hangar and multiply that by 16 cents per square foot, that gets you to the amount that's outlined in the resolution. And then every 3-year period after that, it will be increased by the CPI adjustment for those 3 years.
Thank you, Director Shell. Next, I will call on Supervisor Nussbaum. Please go ahead, Supervisor Nussbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to get the county executive's opinion on this change.
Please, Executive Damo, if you could please step forward and use the mic in the front.
Over here. I did take a, you have to drop this. I took a 4-hour airport tour on Thursday. Even this hangar itself. I'm okay with it. A lot of it are in disrepair. Personally, I'd like to see a sell some of my hangars to get that off of the stormwater runoff, which we all are aware of that costs us over $400,000 a year. So less property that we don't out there that's on the current rule, probably the better. That being said, you know, this guy's willing to fix it up a little bit. It looks like he is. I'm okay with that. I was a little shocked myself when I learned about the rent fees. It seemed really low for me. But then again, that's standard rate. Jim is very knowledgeable when it comes to airports classification, not just ours. So it's standard fare. Personally, I would like to sell some of these so we can get it off our stormwater runoff versus them fix them. But in the meantime, if this gentleman's willing to fix it up a little bit, make it look nicer, and we can still get something off of it, as long as it covers those raindrops, I'm okay with it. And it seems like $400,000 a long way to go.
Thank you, Executive Damo, and thank you, Supervisor Huffman. So next I'll call Supervisor Lautenschlager. Please go ahead, Supervisor Lautenschlager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had this discussion in the aviation committee, and actually, we think this is a very fair lease. And actually, we wish that we would have more of our rental hangars out there construct and contract their own, because we're leasing land to them. We're still getting land, but they're building the hangar, and all the maintenance and everything is on them. It's not on the county. So, I mean, to us, we would rather have more people who have hangars out there construct their own hangars and just lease the land from us. So thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor Lautenschlager. Seeing no other calling, we'll go to a voice vote. We'll do a voice vote. And once again, this was with the friendly amendment on page 16 with the liability of the 1 million and 1 million. For clarification. So we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. That motion carries. Moving on down to the final resolution this evening. That's resolution number 172-05-2021. Execute easement agreement between Winnebago County, Northern Telephone, and Data Corporation. Once again, call on Supervisor Gabbard.
I move for resolution 172-05-2021.
There's a motion in a second to approve resolution number 172-05-2021. I'll open it up for any discussion. Anyone, county supervisor, is involved with any discussion? Anyone in person? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. That motion carries. That is our last resolution for this meeting. Supervisor Lautenschlager would like to say one thing. So if you could please step to the mic, before we adjourn, Supervisor Lautenschlager has a comment to make.
Tom Snyder still there?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to give a little helpful hint for next month's meeting if we do this, and it'll kind of solve Supervisor Binder's thing. And there was quite a few of us that have our tablets here, and we were listening in. But the problem is, you get feedback when you do this. But if you have your earphones, and I see Supervisor Sorcy doing on her phone, which is good too. But if you have earbuds, you can hear everything, and you won't get the feedback from everybody else in there. So, I mean, you have those both worlds. And if Supervisor Binder would use this, if he had his earbuds here, he would have been able to hear that whole presentation, you know, with it. So just a helpful hint for people next month are attending in person. Bring some earphones along with your iPad or your telephone.
Thank you, Supervisor Lautenschlager. And just as a reminder for next month, our goal is to have an EV system similar to what we did last July. We have to improve this situation. Okay. Likewise, our intent, assuming our preliminary planning continues to move forward and work, we would do it at the Expo Center, so it'd be a larger venue. We'll set up the EV system. So we'd expect that our EV would be as good as it was last July, which did seem to work pretty well. All right, very good. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I'll call on Supervisor Albrecht. There's a motion. Is there a second? Motion and a second to adjourn until June 15th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.